Okay, though. So yeah, you remember we talked about the four different places. Yeah, that's love, acceptance, forgiveness, and serving. Remember, we said so. Where do we even begin to make sense of all of this? Making sense of relationship, and we said maybe we should start with the foundation because after all, they are the most important part. They are the most important part of uh, of a building, of any building. Yeah. And if they fail, everything is in trouble. If they fail, everything is in trouble. So I would like to suggest four basic areas to look at in relationship building because you're building. Yeah, four basic areas. Four basic areas. And we said it earlier: love, acceptance, forgiveness, and serving. Love, acceptance, forgiveness, and serving. Now, in addition, let me suggest a framework for looking at them. Now, I have discovered that to learn most things in life, you need three things. To learn most things in life, you need three things. Number one, instruction. Number two, an example. And number three, ability. I said again, to learn things in life, most things, you need three things: instructions, an example, and ability. And I told someone many years ago, and that statement couldn't leave him. I told him to give his ability responsibility. It's possible. We all have that ability. The potential is inside of us. But when you give your ability responsibility, that's when you are enabling yourself to do the things that you thought you could never do. And once you have an instruction and then you have an example of the instruction, it's easy to give your ability responsibility. Okay, so this is true for anything, from assembling probably an electrical fan that you buy, yeah, because you know how it works. You don't get it whole as it is. You have to they pieces it and then they put instructions on how to assemble that piece of electronics together. Okay, and then yeah, shelves. If you are a lover of shelves and you buy shelves, yeah, there's a way to do it. Okay, so this is true for anything from putting up shelves to building relationships. So as far as shelves are concerned, I have been given many instructions on how to do it, but and I know people who are experts, but it doesn't mean that I can do it well. All right. The trouble is that I lack the ability. All right. So having instructions is certainly a great step forward. And being shown how means I am much more likely to make a better job of it. But I'm never going to be able to get it quite right unless something actually changes in me. Now, likewise, to learn the principles of effective relationships is very important and certainly helps us on the way. But the problem actually lies in a flaw in human nature, which we always find ourselves falling over. But amazingly, there really is hope and we can be changed. It is possible to be changed. Very possible. Okay. Now, let's start with the instructions. Okay. This is where the four foundational principles comes in. Now, I don't think anyone would strongly disagree about the importance of each one, even if putting them into practice is a different matter. It's a different matter. Okay. So, love. Love is a strange word because we use it to describe all sort of things. We say we love pizza, cars, the rabbit, for our spouse, our children, and some people say they love God. The same word is used to describe our relationship with, rather a big variety of things. Now, so often when we say I love, this is what we mean. We mean I feel good about, or it gives me pleasure. Somebody once said that, and I've always been saying it on the show. Love is a feeling you feel when you feel the feeling you're feeling is a feeling that you have never felt before. How true is that? Okay, I should say that again, right? Love is the feeling you feel when you feel the feeling you're feeling is a feeling that you have never felt before. How true is that? How true is that? Is love just about feelings alone? Okay, but love is not primarily a feeling. No, it's an act of the will. I say it again. Love is not primarily a feeling. It is an act of the will. Enjoy, like, appreciate are all associated with feeling good about receiving something. But love is about giving. We say it regularly that you can give without loving, but it is impossible to love without giving. It's impossible. Remember, for God so loved the world, the next thing that followed, he gave his only. He gave his only. Okay? Love is about giving. It's been said, love is reaching out to another person without fear or self-protection. Yeah. Love is wanting the best for another human being and striving to help them have it whatever it costs you. Love is putting another person's welfare before your own. And I think we would all agree that if we could all learn to love one another on this basis, relationship would change immediately. Now, if I could behave towards another person in a way that had only their interest at heart and was not influenced by my self-preservation, what a difference that would make. A huge difference. Love says, however I feel about you, I will seek to do the best for you if it is in my power to do so. I need to say that again. Love says, however I feel about you, I will seek to do the best for you if it is in my power to do so. That's what love says. But it's so funny that some people have different version of what love says to them, and they act on it. Now, the next word is acceptance. Acceptance in relationship means whatever I find out about you, I will not set out to change you, but I will accept what I find. But at the same time, I will love you so much that I will not allow you to remain the same. Yeah. Nobody can change anybody until the person who is sitting in that place decides and yearns for a change. It is when the person wants a change, that is when you can actually assist and love the person to become what they truly can and should be. So, often in marriage situation, we hit the peanut and we find out something about another person that we didn't know before. Remember the peanut story? So when you hit the peanut, and then that's when you begin to feel, oh no, I can't do this. And then you spit it out. But that's not right. So in marriage situation, we hit the peanut and we find out something about another person that we didn't know before. This may be anything from the way they squeeze the toothpaste, personal hygiene, or something of far greater consequence, then we are faced with a choice. The choice is either to walk away, disillusioned, and look for another relationship, or to try and change the other person into what we expected them to be. In other words, we set out on a plan, to turn the other person into the illusory figure we first thought that they were. This is an extremely common method of trying to solve the problem. Now, the difficulty is that it doesn't work. All it does is to cause trouble and strife. Now, the third possibility is that we say, I was surprised by what I found out about you, but that is part of what you are, and I'm going to accept you for who you are. But I'm going to love you so much so that you are not going to remain this person that you thought you are. Now, can you imagine how different relationships would be if we were able to do that? Can you imagine how different relationships would be? Now, acceptance says, whatever I find out about you, I will still accept you and not walk away. Whatever I find out about you, I will still accept you and not walk away. That's why it's very important that you know you and you have found out a lot about you, and you have gotten in the pathway of becoming a better person, so that when you are finding that person that will be with you, you will know that, okay, this person is already in the same place with me, working out certain things in him or herself. If not, somebody might just package some sweet nonsense, rubbish, and give it to you. Oh, yeah. So, the next one is forgiveness. Forgiveness is releasing a person from your judgment and from your desire to see them punished for what they have done wrong. Forgiveness is simple, but very hard. There are a number of problems with forgiveness that make it so very difficult. Now, the major one is that invariably, we feel that we are the one who has been wronged and therefore do not see why we should make the first move. It should, we argue, be the responsibility of the other person. He should come. He's the one that hurt me. He should come. That sounds logical, right? But it does not work like that. Now, there's a certain sort of snake that, if cornered, becomes very angry. In its anger, it bites itself. Now, if when we are offended, we do not forgive, we end up being the one hurt, because unforgiveness leads to bitterness, and bitterness is highly destructive. It is the person who can forgive who walks away free. Unforgiveness is like being trapped in a cage. We have all been hurt by by other people, and many of the hurts happened a long time ago, back in our lives, but we can still feel the effects today. And that's why we say that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. As children, we may have been abused, neglected, or rejected by our families. Many have suffered pain within marriage. We may have experienced broken promises, infidelity, cruelty, neglect, or deceit. In the workplace, at home, in our relationships, friendships, marriages, we may have heard words and experienced actions that have hurt us. The only way out of this cycle of hate and anger is forgiveness. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't it be an incredible world if we were able to forgive as soon as we were hurt? Wouldn't it be an incredible world? Now, I have heard people say, I just cannot forgive. I've been too badly hurt. You don't understand. You don't know how bad this person was to me. I just cannot forgive. That is never the case. Forgiveness is a choice. We choose not to forgive because by doing so, we believe we're in some way making the other person pay. The reality is that we are paying. Oh, yeah. Acid is more dangerous in the container it is stored than in the container it is poured, or on the content it is poured. Oh, yeah. Forgiveness requires facing up to anger and hurt and then letting go. Forgiveness says, whatever you do to me, I will not hold it against you, but you will be free of my judgment. How sweet. Forgiveness says, whatever you do to me, I will not hold it against you, but you will be free of my judgment. Do you forgive? Do you have that forgiving spirit, that forgiving attitude? Now, the next one is serving. Serving means giving what we have to others and not trying to get something from them in return. It is seeing people for what we could give to them rather than what they can give to us. It's wanting the best for another person by putting them first, in honor, preferring one another, isn't it? The world is full of examples of one group of people seeking, to dominate another. The tussle between white and black people, men and women, rich and poor. Okay? We have a hunger for power, and power means a desire to dominate another human being. Serving requires a choice. It's a choice which says that although I could dominate you, I make a decision to act in the opposite way. I make myself vulnerable to you. I put myself in a position of serving you. Serving says, whatever your background, race, or gender, I will look for ways to help you and make your life better. Oh, yeah. Serving says, whatever your background, race, or gender, I would look for ways to help you and make your life better. That's what serving is all about. Now, I think we would agree that in theory, at least, these are pretty good instructions if we were all to look, to one another and say, I'd like to love you, to accept you, to forgive you, and to serve you. Can you imagine how different the world would be? Now, these are good instructions, and you could stop at this point and try and put them into practice. It will be well worth your while. Now, I suggest that you take a long, hard look at all your relationships. Going back into your past, find out where the pain is, whose words have hurt you, whose actions have wounded you. Get in touch with your real feelings. Consider taking out a piece of paper and writing down the names of people and situations where you know you have been hurt. Go right back as far as you can. Then write the word forgiven next to their names. Throw away or burn the paper. Now, find a simple act to demonstrate they are forgiven. Show love. It will break the cycle of hatred and anger. We say it regularly on the show that forgive others, not because they deserve forgiveness. Yeah, but it's because you deserve peace. And we also say regularly that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Forgiveness is the final form of love. Yeah. And he instructed us that we should forgive even as he has forgiven us. So why are you holding something against someone? Why? Consider situations where you have walked away from others because you could not accept something about them. Is this the way that you would like to be treated? You may need to go to them and say that you are sorry for what you did or said. Why not be the instrument of healing in your broken relationship? Why not be the instrument of healing in your broken relationship? It's possible. Be the trailblazer, be the pace setter, be the one to reach out. Yes, you are the one that is hurt and hurting. The other person hurt you, but be the better one. Consider a situation where, you have been dominating another person and find a way to serve them, expecting nothing in return. You will find it liberating. Oh, yeah. Now, these are the steps to freedom, but they are not easy. And you know how we say regularly on the show that when you do the easy things of life, your life will be hard. But when you do the hard things of life, your life will be easy. Oh, yeah. So easy is not an option. Yeah. Now, to take these steps is really helpful, but you may find it incredibly hard. The fundamental problem may not yet be dealt with, and you may need to revisit, the above process after, the things that we have shared, or seek counseling, get help. Yeah. In order to be different, we need to change. If the human race is going to be different, the change has to begin in the heart, because it results in changed behavior. So, who can do these things? Now, sometimes to receive instructions and to know what we ought to do can make matters worse because it breeds frustration. Now, that's why we need someone to show us how and somehow give us the ability to do what we do not seem to have the natural ability to do. And it's possible to do those things. Very possible. Now, it may be a surprise to discover where this concept of love, acceptance, forgiveness, and serving comes from. Although, in many ways, they are obvious. They actually come from the great book. You know what I'm talking about? That great book, the manual of life. Yeah. We're told that at the beginning, human beings lived in harmony and at peace with one another, isn't it? In fact, we're told that they were naked and not ashamed. The account is not written to tell us about the clothes they did or did not wear, nor is it intended to be a purely scientific statement about how we got here. But it does show us about original intentions and the point at which things went wrong. If you want to get something fixed, that is a pretty good place to begin. So, back to lack of clothes. It did not mean physical nakedness. It meant that they were able to be totally open with one another, exposed to each other, vulnerable to each other, but not ashamed of what or who they were, or what others would find out about them. Now, that's not true of most of us. We are actually ashamed of what we are really like. Yes, we're ashamed of what we're really like. They also lived in a close, intimate relationship with the Creator that they could know and experience. This openness with one another came because they had a completely open relationship with God. And we read of a Creator who is not only all powerful, but also personal and able to relate to other persons such as us. Now, the story takes a sad turn. The man and the woman broke their relationship with the Creator because they wanted to do their own thing and did not want Him interfering. Feeling estranged from the Creator, they hid from Him because they felt embarrassed at what they had done. The immediate effect of this was felt in their human relationship. No longer were they naked and unashamed, but they became very ashamed of their nakedness. And so they covered up. And we've been covering up ever since. Oh, yeah. We've been covering up ever since. And with that came a lot of other things being covered up. Yeah. Now, this is not an issue of clothes as such, as I said earlier. It is something much deeper than that. The way we cover up is that we spend our whole lives protecting ourselves from each other so that we don't get hurt. Now, you may not believe that as a literal event. That is not the point. The point is that it illustrates something incredibly important about human relationships. If we don't spot it, we may struggle to solve a problem and be dealing with the wrong issues. So just think about it. That's where it all started. If the problem of human relationship was caused by a break in our relationship with God, then surely the answer starts with the restoring of that relationship. It makes sense, isn't it? So why not at least give it a consideration? Think about it. How is your relationship with your Creator? You'll probably find that instructions are not enough. In fact, most of us know how we should live, but we just cannot do it. We need an example of how to do it, and we need fresh ability. Something has to change inside us. Large numbers of people today are discovering that there is someone who loves, accepts, and forgives them unconditionally. Not only has He given instructions and been an extraordinary example, but He also gave them the power to do the same to others. When you know you are loved, it's easier to love. When you are accepted for who you are, it is easier to accept others. When you are forgiven without conditions attached, you can do the same. When someone you should serve serves you, you will serve also. When your selfish nature is changed for a new one, you can be different. And when the one who does that for you is the Creator who made you, it all begins to speak of hope. When you realize that God we walked away from has made moves towards us, it's possible to be reconciled to Him. So, are you ready to start to heal up yourself by first of all reconciling with Him? When you do, it starts to make sense. All of your relationship issues becomes resolved. Why? You have fixed the foundational problem that was caused many years ago. So if you haven't made that reconciliation, it's time to do so. It's time so that your life can begin to have the meaning you crave. Because without it, you just remain where you are and you would not be able to make sense of relationships. And healing, help, and hope will be far away from you.